We spoke with former Mayor Jaworski earlier this week.
Why you and not Senator Nathan Johnson?
Look, you've got four people in the runoffs, one of which is going to be your next Texas Attorney General, okay? Three of them are politicians who have, 20 years plus combined in office. I am the one working day lawyer who's a former mayor, so I bring at least two distinctions from the pack. One is I'm working every day to help people resolve their crises. I think that's what the Attorney General should be doing. Also, as a former mayor, Phil, I bring a perspective that none of the other three have. Look, my view is the Texas Attorney General's office is the most powerful and consequential office in Texas government. And, the law should not be partisan. Justice is blind. And my view is that, yeah, you ought to be prepared to fight in court and have that oppositional skill set. But the fact is, the office can do so much good for people, irrespective of political parties. I subscribe to Bobby Kennedy and what he said when he quoted the Greeks that government is to tame the savageness of man and make gentle the life of this world. We're leaving so much on the table with Texas government. The Texas Attorney General can do that for everyone, and I want to be your Attorney General.
Senator Johnson was quoted in the Dallas Morning News saying, quote, "My opponent just likes to run for office. That's clear," calling you a loser. What do you think about that?
Ooh, that stings. But, I have to take it with a grain of salt coming from a man who enjoys the benefit of a gerrymander. And, good for Nathan Johnson to keep his Senate seat. Most of the time, people are not running against him. I think he had one general election that was unopposed. I know he's had at least one primary unopposed. He ran in 2018, and, we don't know if he sent a thank you note to Beto O'Rourke, who certainly paved the way with lighted torches. But good for him. And what I'd say to Nathan Johnson is you don't know what you're talking about. I have never run unopposed. I think my record is 9-3 if you add it up. And as a Democrat, I think you need to be able to get knocked down and get back up. That's the true test of courage and character. So I will not accept his criticism, but I think it tells a little more about his viewpoint than mine.
How do you win in May? What do you have to do, to pull this off and become the Democratic nominee?
Part of that, Gromer, is I've already done it, which is I made it to a runoff. So, it was an amazing turnout on March 3rd, but you can put that file aside. Now it's going to be much more of a family affair. And so what I'll do is raise money. I will purpose that money into communication with the family of progressive voters that turn out typically for runoffs. And I think history is, littered with examples of people who were number one in the primary race only to lose in the runoff. So, Gromer, my plan is to continue doing what I'm doing, which is champion my 53 club endorsements and over 140 individual endorsements, hustle all around the state. Nathan's not even trying to do that. And really go where the voters are. And then, put that money into communications, typically digital and texting, and tell people why I'm the choice and what my philosophy is, as I described at the top of the interview.
What will be your priority as Attorney General? Will it be more the same? Will you be suing the federal government, waking up in the morning, as Greg Abbott says, thinking about what kind of lawsuit you're going to bring against the administration, or something else?
I'll start by saying I am a progressive Democrat, and I'm not going to abandon those principles upon taking the oath. I will be hell in court to the MAGA agenda. However, there's more, and I referred to that at the top of the interview, which is we're leaving so much on the table. I'll be an Attorney General that enforces laws that help people, not persecute people. You're right, Gromer. Ken Paxton, thrills in telling everyone how much he sues Joe Biden and Democrats. But the reality is he's more like the Spanish Inquisition, abusing his, religion, if you will, to persecute people. He He is the consigliere for the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, and he will take it to vulnerable classes, whether it's based on race or religion or sexual identity. Instead, what the Office of Attorney General ought to do is be a consumer protection division, enforce laws that benefit everyone, Republican and Democratic alike.
You're likely going to be working with a Republican legislature and, until proven otherwise, other Republican statewide officials. Will you be taking more of a confrontational approach with them or a cooperative approach with them?
You know, first off, Phil, I would say Taylor Remit's election, I know it was a special election, but it certainly speaks well, and we see nationwide Democrats performing historically. So I would like to think there is every opportunity to have a Democratic majority House and Senate, and also some statewides. But let's use your hypothetical. I'm a fair person. You know, I learned that being a lawyer for 35 years. People don't like jerks, you know, and as a mayor, certainly in a nonpartisan or, you know, all partisan situation, you have to take people where they are. As Attorney General, I don't see any reason to depart from that. But you know, if you draw blood first, then you'll get a response.
The winner of the Democratic runoff will face the winner of the GOP runoff between State Senator Mays Middleton and U.S. Representative Chip Roy in the primary. They were separated by just 8 points.